My name is Stephanie Young. I am born and raised in Hickory, North Carolina. I still live there. I commute to school every day. I'm 38, an English major, dramatic arts minor. My future career aspirations are to be a writer of some sort of professional writing.
Would you like to write books or
Anything. Any type of writing would be fine with me.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about how your children took you getting back together with Keisha?
With Keisha, it was a lot of turmoil in the beginning. I made up my mind that I was only going to live for myself. I wasn't going to try to please anyone else at that point in my life. I was 33 when we got back together, and I had been in a lot of bad relationships, so it didn't really matter to me how people took it at that point. My oldest son was very supportive. He was 15. He was actually in our wedding ceremony. He and I have always been very close, like best friends. He was this one stable thing in my life forever. And my 13-year-old at the time, he's 17 now, and he's come around since, but in the beginning he hated me. He called me names. He moved out of my house. He moved in with my parents, who were not supportive either. So they all turned their back on me for several months after the relationship started. The younger two, they were 3 and 5, so they were very young, and they really didn't have an opinion on anything yet. They hadn't been tainted by the world at that point as far as anything like that goes, so they were okay too.
How did you deal with your second oldest moving out of the house?
It was very hard at first. He and I have always had a sort of explosive relationship. He blamed me a lot of times for his dad leaving and not having anything to do with him, so a lot of it became my fault, so he turned a lot of his anger and aggression toward me. It was not surprising. I was not surprised by his reaction because of that explosive relationship that we'd always had. But it was hard to let him go. But it was hard to let my parents go at the same time because I had been so close to them my entire life. I'd lived next door forever. And when they found out, they kicked me out and everything. So I was pretty much on my own at 33 for the first time in my life. So it was tough.
So in North Carolina, your marriage is not recognized. So does that mean on your paperwork you're not allowed to put wife and wife, or how do they do that with the school system?
With the schools, well, with anything that we fill out, we represent ourselves as a married couple. We write that in because we don't use domestic partner or anything like that. We use spouse. Even if we have to handwrite it in because we want to be recognized as such. Even though legally we're not recognized, we make sure that our paperwork shows that we are spouse and spouse, not just two people who live together who are not represented, because legally we're not represented, but for our own sake and for our own representation, we always mark that as spouse.
Are you offended by the label domestic partner? Do you think that's belittling in any way if you are married?
I think it is, because marriage it's a huge symbol in our society. And I think a lot of people take for granted what it means to be married and to have that legal representation, because there are lots and lots of legal things that differentiate married people from unmarried people. So yeah, the domestic partner can mean people who are same sex, opposite sex, who are living together, who are not married, and people just assume that domestic partner means two people of the same sex, but it doesn't. It represents anyone who's not married. So there is a big difference there. And we have a marriage certificate from Washington, D.C. showing that we are legally married, even if it's just in that one state. So.
What do you say to people that try to justify, homophobia with the Bible?
Well, like I said, my partner's in divinity school now. She's
How is that received by other people?
There are actually a lot of gay people in the program at Wake Forest.
Wow.
Because gay people are tired of people telling them that they can't be Christians, or they can't be part of the church, or they can't do this or they can't do that because they're gay. My response is that the Bible itself, and this is what I believe that the Bible has been misinterpreted throughout the years. I believe that it is not the inerrant word of God, and there are too many scholars who have studied the Bible and found too many flaws for me to think that God actually put this thing together. And I personally feel like your religious, beliefs or your Christian walk or whatever you want to call it is a personal thing between you and God. And because I'm a Christian, and I don't believe that God hates fags, as the Westboro Baptist Church tries to shove down everyone's throat. I believe that we're all equal in God's eyes, no matter who you are. If a rapist or a murderer can seek forgiveness and be forgiven, then even if they teach that homosexuality is a sin, why is it more deserving of being cast out of the churches than any other sin? Because all sin is sin. But personally, I don't believe that homosexuality is a sin, because God creates all people, and I know that people are created who they are, and that many people are born gay. Like I said, I was attracted to both sexes, so I can't say that I was born gay. I could easily cut ties with Keisha and go back into a heterosexual relationship and just be miserable again like I was before. But that would all just be a game, and I believe in order for God to be happy with someone, He wants you to be who He created you to be, not what the world wants you to be. So that's what I think. And if the Bible is the reason that they don't believe that people should be able to get married, that's it's nuts, because atheists get married every day. Buddhists get married every day in the United States. Felons get married every day. So the Bible is really not a good justification for me as a civil issue, because so many
church and state.
Yeah, so many other people get married in churches who don't even believe in God. So how can you
justify that
gay Christians from getting married who do believe in God and want to get married in the eyes of God, when you have atheists who deny God who are able to have that civil thing go on? So.
Why do you think there's such a stigma with just being gay? I know originally it was the stigma associated with HIV, and I think that's kind of dissipated. Everybody knows that it's not a gay thing.
Right.
It happens. But why do you think it's such a taboo topic? People get so angry about just people being gay, and it doesn't affect me. You being gay does not affect me. So why are people so...
Right. I think it is a religious issue more than anything. I think that it's been taught as a religious issue for so long, because certain parts of the Bible, people pull out 5 verses, we call them the clobber passages that they use against gay people. And they say, a man shall not lie with a man, and these things. And it's about those biblical cultural things that stemmed from thousands of years ago that are not even relevant in our culture anymore. And I think that's where the problem comes in. It's a biblical thing, because you have pastors like on TV, you got Pat Robertson and those people who say that God's going to destroy the world because of gay people. But that's ridiculous to me. But that's what it is. It's the Bible, and it's these pastors who teach this fear, and it's a fear tactic. If you accept gay people, then you're denying God, even if it doesn't affect you personally. So.